This is Microsoft Copilot build a YAML topic generator. Now, sometimes you have an idea about a presentation, you put it out there, and as you're working on it, what happens is you get another idea or you go away. It kind of goes sideways. And this is one where I was going to go through the entire life cycle of Copilot, and then suddenly I realized, wait a second, hold on, because prompt engineering has changed everything. And a number of years ago, Microsoft built a product called Cortana. I believe that's what Copilot is now. And it's all drag and drop screens and the whole topic issue and the way you build things. And then AI came, right? And so they put AI on top of it. And there's this whole movement for these drag and drop, never code anything ideas. And I think eventually those type of things are going to desist. I know that sounds kind of strange, but what I'm meaning is you're going to be prompt engineering it all. You're just going to be telling it what you want, as opposed to all the dragging and dropping. So and that's kind of where we're headed today. I'm going to show you how to, one of these topics where you typically drag and drop, you can actually just prompt engineer with your words, which is amazing. A little bit about me. I've been around a long time. I started with punch cards, and I'm not slowing down. I'm actually speeding up. And the reason being is because I have prompt engineering now. And there's so much stuff I've always wanted to do that I was unable to do either because I wasn't smart enough or I didn't have enough time. And now, wow. I mean, the stuff you can do with prompt engineering just takes good care of you. So I have all these ideas in my mind actually able to build now. And there's been this transition with prompting. I don't know if you know that or not, but it can now build frameworks. And so what's coming up here in the next few weeks is we're going to talk about building frameworks and show you how to build frameworks using prompt engineering. So I have one plan for LangChain through prompt engineering, and another one would be building your own LangGraph framework. So I show you how to build a framework, and then how to building your own Crew AI agent-driven framework. And then we got NVIDIA coming back doing Blazing SQL. And what it is that we spend a lot of time learning other people's frameworks, right? You know, learning all these different frameworks that we use to build our program. You don't have to do that anymore. You can build your own. And so we're going to start getting into showing you how to do that. With that said, what kind of percent efficiency do you expect from AI today? And here's an example of Dentons that got a 5,000% efficiency just by putting their stuff into a vector database. And so no longer do their lawyers have to go through all these briefs and exhaust themselves, for 4 or 5 hours. Now in 5 minutes, they have the stuff they need to go into court. We're seeing more and more of that. Now we're not just seeing vector databases, but something called a vector graph, which allows you not to just get the cosine similarity, but also the metadata around that data. So make sure it all fits together. With that said, let's start with our icebreaker. Forgive me if you've seen this one before. I need to create some new ones, but we'll go with this one right here. What futuristic technology, once considered sci-fi, has AI made possible today that most surprised you, and why? Self-driving cars, personal AI assistant, robotic surgery, smart homes, text to video, facial recognition, virtual reality, real-time language translation, human-like robots, or AI-generated art and music? Which one, or some other ones? Which one has surprised you the most and why? All right, today, Copilot Studio agenda. So basically, there's lots of Copilots, but Copilot Studio is the one that's like a chat bot that you program like a custom GPT. Getting started, templates, YAML, actions, deployments are all important topics when working with Copilot Studio. Today, we're going to focus on working with YAML. You probably even heard of anyone using YAML with Copilot Studio, but you can. Now, if you want to go ahead and register for Copilot Studio, you can do that right now. And we have an exercise on that. And I suggest that you do. But in order to do that, in order to register for that, you will have to have both a work ID or a student ID. So if you're in college, you can use your student ID. And if you work for a company or you have your own company, you can use your company ID. It will not take a Gmail. Okay. So you guys should be getting that Copilot up and running. You shouldn't be having any problems if you have a work ID or a student ID. It will not take a Gmail, excuse me. Now, when you do Copilot, typically the way you get started off with is by creating topics. And topics are a way to enter in with a goodbye, greeting, start over, thank you, what can I ask? And you have these whole flow diagrams that you build. And that's the way it used to be done. Plus, now they've thrown generative AI on the top. So that makes it very usable. And it's actually changing the whole environment. As a matter of fact, the whole Copilot platform is actively changing. And if you want to do that type of thing, here's a great video on how to do that because we're not going to do that today. All right, but I wanted to make sure you get a good information on that for doing that type of work. So just getting started with Copilot, that's a great link. Additionally, there is a great person out there, Lisa Crosby, has a number of fantastic videos on using Copilot that will help you get started and walking with it. Additionally, what I like about Lisa, she's got her eye on what's happening with the technology, and she's looking at several significant changes that are about to happen with Copilot. So I'm excited too because you're actually seeing the Microsoft transform this platform. And I've been using Cortana for years, and I've never really been that excited about it. But as you watch generative AI come into the picture, it changes the entire equation. So if you want to learn more, and if you want to really get into Copilot, I think starting with Lisa Crosby's site is a great place to go. With that said, we're going to take a look at templates today. And specifically, we'll look at the website QA template. So we're not going to go create a Copilot from scratch. We're just going to look at a template. And then I'm going to show you how to look at the YAML. Okay, so let's do that right now. So if you were signed up, we're going to not be drag and dropping today. We're going to be building interfaces using YAML. And not only that, we're not going to hand code it. We're going to create a custom GPT to automatically create the YAML that creates the drag and drop interfaces. All right, let's move on. So let me go ahead and bring up my Copilot, and then I'm going to walk you through the templates, and then I'm going to show you where the YAML is. All right. So if you want to go to Copilot, you need to go to Copilot Studio.microsoft.com, and it'll take you to my Copilots. And one thing is when you want to create a Copilot, all you do is hit the create button. It's fairly easy to work with. If you want to publish, you're here. And if you want to go to settings, you're here. And if you want to test your Copilot, you're here. So it's actually a really nice interface to work with. Once you're here, I'm going to go just create a Copilot. Now you can create a Copilot from scratch using generative AI, or you can do the typical classic Copilot here, or you can start with a template. And it turns out that Microsoft has done a really good job with these templates. There's a template for safe travels, store operations, sustainability insights, team navigation, voice, getting the weather, or website Q&A. We'll take a look at that one today. And Microsoft has more coming on the way. So let's take a website Q&A. So pretty much all you have to do is go, hey, I like that, but notice it has knowledge in there. What it means is plus knowledge is that you can actually, it treats it as almost like a vector database. You can go against a website, you can go against a document, you can go against a SharePoint and use that almost like a database where you pull information from, like a similarity search. So we're going to go ahead and create this particular Copilot. We can actually test it. So right here it says, hello, I am a website Q&A Copilot. Please ensure the knowledge source on the left is pointing to your website so I can provide customized answers based on your content. So you can actually come in here and customize this. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But let's ask it a question. What can you do? I love this, my favorite question. It says you can enhance the visual power of BI using Copilot to quickly improve its ability to understand. Okay. That didn't help me. Let's see what the website is. So if you go here to knowledge, that'll show you what website is actually looking at. So it's actually asking questions against that website. So this is the Microsoft website right here, www.microsoft.com. So let me ask it, what Azure certification should I take to learn about data science? Let's try that one. It says to learn about data science on Azure, you should consider taking the Microsoft Certified Azure Data Scientist Associate certification. And if you click on the link there, you can see it's actually going to the learnmicrosoft.com. So it's actually using that Microsoft address. Very good. So it's working well. And so now with that said, let's go back and take a look at it. And you can see if you click on topics, there's all these various topics, right? And you put these things together. But you can actually generate these through code. You don't even have to do all this drag and dropping and piecing it together. And the way you get to the topics, so let's just click on topics for a moment. And you can see there's several topics here. There's custom topics and there's system topics. Take a look at the custom topics. There's a goodbye, greeting, start over, thank you. And then there's in the system topics, you go from a conversion start all the way down to sign in. So there's quite a few. So we'll go look at this real quick. And if you want to look at a topic and see how it was built, what you do is you go up here to more, you click on the three dots, and you look at Open Code Editor. And so that whole flow diagram is built from this YAML. And you could come in here and change this YAML. So let's take a look at this. In this particular trigger, it has let's begin again, start over, start again, restart. Let's go back and take a look at there you go. Let's begin again, start over, start again, restart. Let's add another topic to that so you can see I change it. Right. So if I wanted to work with this, you know, maybe I want to ask for help. So I would have to go in there and hand code everything I want to do, right? But wait a second, we live in the days of generative AI. We don't need to hand code anything. We just need to prompt it. So here you go, ask for help. I asked it, I just added that phrase. So you can see I can go in there and work with the YAML. I could build this entire interface from the YAML. Why not program a custom GPT to build this whole thing for me just by asking it to do that? And that's what we're going to show you how to do today. All right. With that done, let's move on to the next slide. So I showed you about this particular knowledge-based system, Q&A, and I want to just make one more observance. If you come along here and we'll go back to overview, you can see there's several sections up here. There's overview, knowledge, topics, actions, analytics, channels, all stuff you need to learn about when working with Copilot. And Copilot is extending what it can do with the Microsoft Graph. It's just a pretty amazing system. And as it gets more into generative AI, it becomes even more amazing. But if you go over here to overview and click on settings, you can see you can come over here to generative AI and actually turn on generative AI. And as soon as you turn on generative AI, you no longer really need these all these topics. It just goes in there and figures out what you're asking. It's just amazing. So a lot of stuff that you programmed in the past with Cortana, you really don't need anymore, except sometimes you need to refine the system prompt. And they have ways of doing that. So we will turn this on later as we begin to build a little bit more today. All right, so that's kind of an overview of the system, working with a template, how to get to the YAML. Exercise 2, let's choose a template. So for you guys who have now accessed Microsoft Copilot, please choose a template of your own. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and do that exercise for me. I'm going to walk through it here in a moment. So if you have access to Microsoft Copilot, maybe you've never used a template before, so go in there and choose one of your templates. So RA says, what is the topic in context? Topic in context is, in a sense, a starting point. So it's a place where I'm going to start my conversation with Copilot. Thanks for asking that question. So if I throw out something, the topic will catch it. But sometimes it doesn't catch it, so it sends it to an administrator. But now generative AI, if you turn that on, can catch that topic and do something with it. And then you can have actions, and that's where it becomes extremely powerful. Because when a topic's caught, and then an action which allows the AI to do something with that topic, like book a flight, then it becomes extremely powerful. So once you're in your Microsoft Copilot, then hit the Create button and choose a template. All right. And so I really like going through these templates because they're really good. So let's look at sustainability insights. You can see there's actually 3 knowledge sources here. Now you have a limit on the number of knowledge sources, but if you use Bing search, you can expand that to 10. So right now you're at 3 for this particular system. And it's got reports, CSR, sustainability. So I actually like to go in there and actually look at the actual, open up the sites themselves and see what's in there. This site didn't work. So let's go to the next one. CSR. What is that? Let's go there, open that up. And this is building a responsible future. Expand opportunity, earn trust, protect fundamental rights, advance sustainability. So it's a sustainability site. With that said, let's look at the next one, sustainability. Let's just open that up and look at it. There you go. Monitor and manage your environmental sustainability with data and AI. So really good stuff. So let's go in here and let's, now that we've got this Copilot, let's create it. And you can ask it questions. Hello, I am a Sustainability Insight, a virtual assistant. I can provide insights into your organization's sustainable efforts, as well as provide general facts on sustainability. Just so you're aware, I am sometimes wrong. Of course. So what this say, is AI sustainable? Or are we burning up the environment, training it? Yeah, that's what I want to know. Maybe that's a hard question. AI can play a role in sustainability efforts by optimizing energy consumption and resource application. However, the energy required for training AI models can have environmental impacts. It's essential to balance the benefits of AI with its energy consumption to ensure sustainability. You can see how incredibly useful this type of thing is. I've honed in right on the answer that I want to know, and it's done a good job of it. And it's going to give me a carbon, it's going to show me the paper that it actually pulled this from. So if you're in a research mode and you need to work with different, specific sites, this will direct you specifically to those sites to work with them. With that said, we'll take a look at the YAML for this. Okay, let's
You
bring
know
this.
what?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you missed this because you probably have a PhD. But this is fantastic. If somebody would do a prompt for his PhD, to get all the information, but also get all the references
Oh
so
yeah.
they can have it easily
Oh,
documented.
absolutely. This has changed. This type of thing has completely changed education. That's a really good comment. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, absolutely. It's changed the whole ball game. With that said, here's the sustainability insights, and there's one of the topics, and we're going to take a look at the YAML. And there's your YAML. But you can generate this YAML automatically with a custom GPT. We're going to show you how to do that. So I showed you how to use the code editor to open up and look at the YAML. So now you can do that. And what you want to do as you begin to work with this is to begin to look at it and compare. We won't do this exercise, but you want to look at it, compare the YAML with the actual flow to see how it works. And there is a document that I'm going to put in the uh, chat that explains every line of the YAML and what it's doing. So we're gonna walk through this very briefly, and then we're gonna go and build one. All right. So did you guys get that link? I just put it in the chat. Okay. So if you look at a YAML file, and let's go ahead and go to this link right here, and we'll look at it together. We'll come back to this in a moment. This actually is on Microsoft, and it's going to show you how these YAMLs are built. There is a brief video here on YAML, and then it goes ahead and walks to a specific example where you're actually doing a generative AI uh, site search. And if you now take a look at my graphic, this should make a little bit more sense. So the first line is the type of dialogue. In this sense, it's an adaptive dialogue. The second and third indicates the start of the conversation. To begin the dialogue, this is called on unknown intent. This is when you're using generative AI. The next line 7 indicates the generative answer node. So here's kind of an actions, and there's going to be a node here: search and summarize content. The line 10 is the relevant variable. That's the topic answer. Line 11 through 13 details about the prompt and special instructions. And this is moderation level, medium, tone is friendly. Additional instructions include emojis to make responses more fun. Okay. The next one's 14 through 21 is knowledge source links. And you can see you've got your data sources and you have your links, and potentially you could pull from SharePoint as well. And the kind and conditional groups and any answer conditions are there. And then line 23 to 27 are conditional group. Each condition has a unique ID along with the conditions formula and details and redirects. So once you get the basics of what it's doing, then you just want to go start looking at various examples and figuring them out. There is also a site out there, and that is a Google Colab site that has some of these YAMLs out there that you can actually go take a look at. We'll look at them right now. However, let me warn you, some of these YAMLs have errors. If you're building a custom GPT, do not put YAML in your code that has errors, because if you do, the code it creates will have errors. How do I know that? Because I did it. So you're going to make sure that you've actually tested the YAML that you're putting in your custom GPT that you're going to use to create custom YAMLs, because if it has errors, you're going to get errors back. So garbage in, garbage out. So with that said, I'm going to build a custom GPT using all this content. So all I'm going to do is come up here and copy this stuff. So let's just copy it, just like that. Now there's some stuff I'm not going to need, so I'm going to edit it on the fly. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to open a custom GPT and I'm going to build a YAML builder. What do you think of that? So let's come along here and let's open up ChatGPT. And what I'm showing you today, guys, you can use for anything. And this is what I'm showing you is extremely important. And the reason it is because you may have a code base. And if that code base is really good, you can put that code base in a vector database and program against it. And you can say, program this, program that, program this, and it'll spit out hundreds of lines of code for you. So code that you used to have to create, automatic, take you maybe months to create, you can just create, in minutes. And so let's go ahead and create a custom GPT. And so if you haven't created one before, it's fairly easy. I'm gonna click custom GPTs here. And over here are my GPTs. So let me look at my GPTs, and I have a bunch of them. And I usually write GPTs to increase efficiency. And here's my Copilot YAML. We'll create one from scratch, okay? So just hit create YAML or create custom GPT. And you can try to create them by having them walk you through it, but I typically work with configuration files. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take all that stuff that I just, copied and pasted in. I mean, the amazing thing about custom GPTs and generative AI, it kind of figures it all out for you. It organizes it for you. So it's a lot you don't need. I like the description here, so I'll keep the description what that is. There's some stuff I don't need. It's going to tell me how to actually build it out. I don't need that. So let's get rid of that. And here's the actual code. So I'm going to call this example 1. All right. So it knows what I'm talking about. So that's the code for building this really just small little YAML file. Excuse me. Yeah, YAML file. I don't need the rest of it. And then what I'm going to say, I'm just going to give it an instruction at the top, and I'm going to say, create a Copilot topic in YAML. I'm going to say create the requested Copilot topic in YAML using the syntax of example 1. What do you think? And there you are. You are done. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I'd like to have a little icon. So I'm going to say create an icon. Now, I got to tell you, I use this trick all the time, guys, and especially if you're trying to build rating systems, then what custom GPTs have, they have RAGs in them. So you can actually put your metrics or your rubrics into the RAG systems of custom GPT, and it'll go against those. And you can actually use those to, in a sense, rate systems. So it's extremely powerful in that way. So that gave me a little icon. I said, okay, well, that's fine. Yeah, sure. Yes, it's fine. And so now I could give it an instruction to do for me. So let's try that. I could say over here in the conversation starters, I could say, input a topic you would like to write a YAML Copilot Studio Studio for Studio input. Excuse me. Input a. I don't want to say topic. I want to say subject. That's fine. You'd like to create a Copilot Studio topic for something like that. Okay, and then create the requested Copilot Studio. I want to make sure Studio topic. Yes. All right, and so it's all ready to go, and I'm going to test it. Go ahead.
One thing I did was I was having a conversation while I was listening to you. I was having a conversation with Chat GPT 4.0, and I asked her one question. I said, "Can you verify YAML?" And it sounds like yes. And I'm just saying, can you do it here? Yeah, yes, I can check for errors before answering questions. Just provide the YAML, and I'll review it for correctness. Can this do the same thing?
Absolutely. And what I'll do often, this is a really good question. You ask great questions. Another thing that you can do is if you put this in, you get an error, you feed the error back into the code and it'll fix it for you. Okay. It doesn't do it every time, but it's getting better and better. So, what is happening?
That's why exactly. I was surprised when you were saying that, there were still errors in the YAML because these things are becoming amazing.
Well, what I mean is that when I go to the GitHub, okay, let me go to the GitHub real quick and show you that. What I meant is when I gave you a link to the GitHub.
Yep.
And if you go here to GitHub and you look at their YAML, all right, and probably they have errors because the system has changed, right? So when they put the code in here at first, it's probably a little bit dated. it's probably was fine. But if you go here, for example, for each topic, you can go here to source, and there's a YAML here that will, in a sense, you could use to basically go through various topics. So they have, YAML for free, right? But
Yeah, and
you want to make sure before you put this into your custom GPT that there's no errors here.
yeah, yeah,
And you
and
can
that's
feed that.
what
Go ahead.
yeah, and that's why I went over to ChatGPT 4 just to check it, but they can check the ammo ahead of time for you and it will alert you of that.
Yes and no. And the reason I'm saying that it may not have good knowledge of Copilot Studio YAML. All right, it's a little bit of a different animal because it can check YAML for syntactical correctness, but maybe not for programmable correctness, right? So it may not have complete knowledge, and that's why I'm putting an example in there. So I'm doing like a one shot. So many times what you'll do, you do a one shot or two shot. When you just ask the system to fix something for you, that's a zero shot. But if you put an example, a code example that you know that works and that's good, that's a one shot. You put two in there, that's a two shot. So and then you can have a multi shot. But what I'm finding as I move on, the less, the more succinct and the less you put in, the better off you are. And that's gonna sound, I know it sounds weird. At first, when we started programming these prompts, we just put more and more stuff in there. We added more and more. But what I found now is you add more and more, it kind of gets off on a tangent and it becomes unstable. So you want to make sure that your prompts are more exacting now. And so that's why you'll see me put in an example, and I don't have to put a lot of them. I put two examples in. Here's an example of how I want you to write. Here's a syntax of how I want you to write this. So yeah.
So
So that's
that's
a good.
kind of my question,
Yeah.
Michael, is how do you make sure that the samples that you put in, especially if you're scraping them, are leading to the conclusion you're trying to build your own Copilot for?
So what I do, and that's a very good question, I test them. So for example, let's take this, say I might want to use this as a sample, right? Because I'm building something like this. So if I'm building something like this, I found some code. I will take this example here. Let me see if I can copy it. I'll go back to my Copilot, right? And then what I'll do, I'll come along here and I'll go ahead. Okay, well, let's just create a topic. So add a topic, right, from blank. And so see how to add a blank topic? I can come in here and I go open up the code editor, right? And I paste that in there. And it's going to tell me if there's an error or not here. And this particular system, let me see if I can save it, if it'll work for me. I did not have an error because it didn't throw an error for me. So I felt pretty confident about that. So that would be sorting uh, through YAML, through documents. But let's pick one that does have an error because I actually ran into this earlier and it threw me off because I went, well, I expected all this code to be perfect. It wasn't. So you want to go in there and test it in the actual system to know if it's good or not. Because what you're doing is you're using this as an example. So you might, have 100 things you need to program that uses this particular template. You know what I'm saying? So but make sure that it doesn't error in your system. So let me see if I can find one that has an error. I'm just going to pull out another one real quick here. That was a good question, by the way. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Um, let's just grab the next one on the list, and if it doesn't have an error, I will move on. So let's go ahead and grab this one. And this is really interesting because really, what you're doing is you're prompt engineering. So you're actually like a connector. You're connecting things. But what you have to have is almost a super understanding of how everything fits together, right? And if it breaks and the large language model can't fix it, then you need to fix it, which means you have to have a really in-depth knowledge of this. But for the most part, it's going to take care of you. And if there's error, you feed it back. But if you get to a point where you can't fix the error, you either need to back off and try again because these things get stuck on what's called a polytope. And so if they get stuck on a polytope, you have to, it doubles down. It tries to convince you that it's right when it's not. So sometimes you have to back off and start again. So let's see if this one gives us an error. So we're going to go back into our GPT
Is
and we'll just use this same one. We'll pull this out. We'll throw this in and I'll get rid of this and see if I get an error. Yep, got errored on this one. So what I'm saying is, you see, it didn't work. And so what I'm saying is, I know this is a real, like real simple example, but I want to make sure that I'm not erroring on my systems. Now, if I do error, then I need to understand enough to know what the error is and how to fix it if ChatGPT can't fix it. But many times it can. So let's go back and take this. This is going to be a real simple example. And I'm going to go, hey, got an error. error, fix it. And let's see if it knows what was wrong with this code. Okay, let's see what it said. Adaptive template, the reference to the joke might be incorrect. Correction reference, it should be replaced with the actual connection reference. Operation ID, ensure this matches the API you're calling. So I'm not sure that will solve this particular issue, but you can see that it is trying to fix it. All right, and I'm not sure if it has intimate knowledge of Copilot YAML and how it works with its flowchart. The reason I'm saying that because what's happening in Copilot right now is very fluid because that platform is changing very rapidly. All right, so yeah, so just good question, and that's as far as I can get with it on it. And once again, the thing to hammer home here, if you're going to use YAML to customize and build your own systems, make sure that YAML has no errors, or you'll get systems with errors. It's really the idea of a polytope is that you're on this multidimensional surface, and there's minimums and then there's absolute minimums, and so you can get on a minimum, but it's not an absolute minimum, and so being on that's
It's
important.
local versus global.
Yeah, absolutely. So we put this, we created this prompt here, and the way we did this is that we went in here and did a configuration. We basically just copied the code right from the Microsoft documentation, and here's the steps and what the different lines mean, and here's the example that we're using, and create the requested Copilot Studio topic in YAML using the syntax of example one. So example one. So we're gonna come here, and what we did not do is give it a name. So let's go ahead and give it a name, and it won't run if we don't, I believe. So we'll call this a YAML Copilot creator, and create a YAML file. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come along here and I'm going to actually input a subject. And I can see that I spelt that wrong. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick. Okay, cool. And I'm going to come here to my GPT down here. And I'm going to give it a topic. And give me one moment as everything moving some screens around. Okay, so something did not work right here. Let me refresh it. Create Copilot Studio code that will search on topics about Google Vertex AI. All right, let's see what happens there. There you go. All right, and that's my YAML. All right, so what it did for me automatically, it came along here and actually chose some websites for me. None of these websites are what I want. So let's try it again. And I'm going to go and use the Vertex AI website site and docs site. Let's see if it can figure this out. And what it's doing is going through there. And now it's actually got the right websites. So basically google.com/Vertex AI and the docs site. And it gave me a few others, which I really don't necessarily need. We're going to take this and paste this YAML into our site, see if we have any errors. Now, hopefully the demo gods will be good to me today. It's always like, who knows? I've done so many of these. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. And let's come along here and let's find our we got our sustainability here. And let's go ahead and create a Copilot from scratch and build this from scratch. So we'll come along here. We'll choose the new Copilot here. We're going to go ahead and we'll give it a name in the moment. So right now it's being called Copilot 5. So this gives a chance for you guys to see how this kind of works. It's just going to create a bunch of generic topics. So we're not going to worry about it too much because we're going to go in there and create our own Copilot. And we're going to add our knowledge base to it, okay? So with that said, it's created it. We can actually change the, still creating it. It's still blank here. So give it a moment. Still building. See, it's loading. So once again, a beautiful interface. It has these knowledge, topics, actions, analytics channels, and Microsoft is connecting it to everything. And as it adds more and more generative AI, it's going to become super powerful. What Microsoft is shooting for is a whole agent scenario. We're actually replacing, right, people with these copilots or agents that do the same jobs that people do. With that said, let's see, are we here yet? Yeah, now we're here. We can actually edit it, and we'll call this Vertex AI Searcher. Now, I will say I've already done this. So if this crashes on me and doesn't work, I'm going to show you the one that does. I'm hedging my bets. You can add a new icon if you want, and there's a place where you can go to Microsoft and build icons. You can go in here to settings and you can add the AI piece. We won't do that right yet. You can add your knowledge piece right here. You can actually add your knowledge sources. We'll do that in a moment. Or you can go up here and add your knowledge sources, which we'll do in a moment. But let's go ahead and put our YAML in there. So go to overview, go to topics, and what we're going to do is just add a topic. And we're going to add it from blank, and we're going to name it vertex. And with that said, we're going to get rid of this. This boilerplate was created. So we'll go to our three dots and we'll go to our topic. And we'll paste this in and we'll cross our fingers and see if we have any errors. Not seeing any errors right now, so I'm going to save it. All right, look at that. Amazing. I didn't have to build all that. It's just wonderful. I just prompted it. Amazing. And so all this drag and dropping and all this stuff people are doing, which takes hours and hours, you can just tell it what to do and it prompts it for you. There you go. Forget it. This is the way to do it. So with that said, I'm going to do a little bit of work here. I'm going to open this up. There's a few of these websites I don't need, but I do like these two right here. So I'm actually going to use these two. So I'm going to copy these. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to knowledge. I'm going to put them in knowledge to make sure these sites are actually being searched. So if you go to knowledge, you can come over here, leave this and go ahead and go add knowledge. And I got to make sure that I actually can hit these publicly. So I think I need to add the HTTP to them. But so what you can do, you can search against files, you can search against websites, you can search against SharePoint, you can use the Dataverse. I mean, this is being opened up for so much stuff. I mean, Microsoft is really working this system very well. And so I'm going to add a website that I'm going to search against. And so I think I need to do a little bit of work here. So it's going to tell me it doesn't like the way that looks. So maybe I need HTTPS maybe // Let's see if it likes that. Yep, likes that. Okay. And let's add another website. So we'll have the next one. And we'll add HTTP. And once that HTTPS :/. Okay, so cool. Looks like we're ready to go. And you can test those. So let's add those sites, make sure they work. And there you go. And I believe we can go to them and see if they're actually functioning. So open those up. I just like to test everything. Yes, that works. And then does the other one work? And hit that, open it up. Yeah, so it's going to go against those sites, which is fantastic. And then what I'm going to do, I'm actually do a little bit more work. I'm going to go to settings and I'm going to turn on, yes, I'm going to turn on generative AI. So generative AI preview. This is in preview right now. Going to make sure you save that. And now I'm ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to go back to Copilot 5. And I thought I changed this name. So I don't see that it changed. So I'll make sure I call it Vertex, excuse me, AI Finder. And let's make sure we save that. Cool. All right. I think I'm ready to roll.
Sorry, Michael, could you show me, yeah, excuse me, could you show me where you put the YAML file?
Oh,
Try
sure.
to replicate, but
So if you go to topics,
yes, please.
go to topics, you want to create a topic, right? So you add a topic. And when you add the topic, you want to give it a name. Let's see, I got a bunch of names here. I called mine Vertex AI. See that? So let me just walk through it again so you can actually see the process. And I think I really appreciate the question. So I copied the YAML, right? And once I had the YAML, then what I did is I went to add topic. Okay. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm following you.
Yeah. And then I click on add topic. I just do it from blank. Okay. So now it's added a topic. I can give it a name. We'll call this Vertex 2. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go see those three dots. Did you say yes?
Gotcha. Yeah. Can you hear me okay? Not too sure.
Are you with me? No, I want to make sure you got it. So let's step
No, yeah. And open the code editor. Yeah,
there you go. Oh, there you go. And I just pasted there. How's that?
Gotcha.
I mean, you just prompted.
Yeah, it's great. So simple. Simple, but so powerful, isn't it?
And what's going to happen is they'll incorporate this. It won't be long before they're incorporating it. This is too dang easy. And you don't want to be dragging all these interfaces around. Because you're going to make mistakes, but here you tell it what to do. And so you just hit a save on that and that should save fine. I won't save that one since I've already saved one like it. But that's the process. Thanks for asking.
No, cheers for showing me.
No, no problem. So with that said, we'll leave this page and, and we're back where we are. So let's start asking some Vertex questions. What do you think? Um, uh, let me say, give me, here's what I love this one. Give me 10 lessons on learning Vertex AI. Now, so I don't know if you're getting, we get job interviews all the time and people want to know if you know certain technologies. And so you build these systems to help you learn the technologies rapidly so you can pass those job interviews, right? So you go ahead and hit that and see if it can give you a 10 lesson Vertex AI. Now, here's the thing I would love had to have done for this presentation, but didn't have time. I do LangChain, and so I've actually built simulators in Hugging Face. We can actually run that simulation code. So it'd be nice, in a sense, to build a Copilot that you ask it to give lessons, and then you actually run it in a simulator, right? And so that way you can learn the technology very rapidly. So it gave me 10 lessons to learn Vertex AI. So if I had a job interview on Vertex AI, then I could just go through all these lessons and I'd be ready for the job interview. All right, with that said, let's try another thing. Intro to Vertex AI. Let's put that in there. And there you go. Here's your intro to Vertex AI. It's going to tell you all about it and what it is. And if you click on this link, you can see it's actually is going against the website that I put in there. Here's the cloudgoogle.com Vertex AI. And here's a video to get you started. What do you think? Isn't this amazing? Just
It is.
so
It is.
like, and you need to take this with you to the bank. Every time you're working with any type of system that's manual, start thinking, how can I prompt engineer this? Right. And you've got lots of systems. You got custom GPT, you've got Copilot, but you also have Claude AI. So let's go and see if we can do the same thing in Claude AI. What do you think? Because Claude AI is free. So if you guys have been sitting there and you haven't been able to follow, let's try to do the same thing in Claude AI because it's free. So let me go ahead and put that in the chat so you guys can get to it.
Hey, Mike, it's 5 o'clock.
I know it's supposed to go to 5:30. So I got this one actually is an hour and a half. So I actually got a little longer on this one. I was going to try to keep it down to an hour, but we're going to go just a little bit longer because we're almost done. And so we will finish early today. We won't go all the way to 5:30, but we will. So today I typically we're only an hour. So thanks for keeping me straight. But today we do have an hour and a half. So thank you. But
I know it sounded like you had something really to do tonight.
you know what it is? I'm going on vacation tomorrow to Florida. So,
Oh, what area?
I'm sorry, what?
What area?
We're going up to the Panhandle. I actually grew up in the Panhandle. I was a farm boy up there, and I grew up on a small farm. And
I lived in Melbourne, Florida.
oh, you did? Oh, okay. We're neighbors. There you go. All right, so let me go ahead and kind of we'll get toward the end here, but I want to finish up kind of on the slide deck. So basically, here's a simple custom GPT. I kept it simple, and it did exactly what I wanted to do. So I didn't have to have a whole lot of language, and I only had a one shot. Created the YAML Copilot and showed you guys how to work that. And then exercise 4 is create your own topic YAML generator. And let's try to do that. This is our last exercise in Claude AI. So I'm going to put this in the chat, and we're going to see if we can do this in Claude AI. I haven't. Let me go ahead and tell you, I have not tried it in Claude AI. So this is for me new waters. And after this done, we'll wrap up with a few questions and answers, and I'll hang out if anybody wants to talk a little bit. Okay. So once again, let me go ahead and remind you guys, please, let me give you the slides, and one moment for that to happen. Not sure what that is. I'm going to give you guys a slide in my LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me and look at the slides and watch for the video, because I'll release this video today, then you can go to my LinkedIn, join my LinkedIn. And also that's the slide deck right there. So there's those two links for you guys. All right, last thing, let's go to Claude AI. Let me put that in here. Claude AI is free and it's pretty amazing. I actually think Claude is really a great piece of software. And definitely just keeps competition going between these companies because Claude actually has this static generator, which will generate JavaScript and HTML. So it actually creates the program as you write it. With that, let's go to Claude AI. Let's see if this will work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the code. I'm actually going to paste the code in the chat and see if we can get Claude to do this for us. So let me go get the code. And we'll see how much I can get through the chat. Sometimes the chat window restricts me. Okay, so it restricted a little bit. So let me cut it down to here. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can get part of it through, and then we'll get the other part through. Let's take this out. Okay, that part went through. That part went through. So you have all the code now to actually do this. Just put those two pieces together, and let's bring up Claude AI and see if we can get this to work. All right, and I probably need to go to my other website. Sorry about that. I'm now on Claude, and I'm going to take the code and paste it in. So the code's going to kind of act like a system prompt, okay? So I didn't get it all. So let me go back and get the code, copy this in, and I'm going to add the code now. And what we're going to do is we're going to treat it like a system prompt. So that's going to be based on all of this. So that's going to be below that. And I'm going to say, using what is below, create a Copilot Studio topic that searches, let's see here, Vertex AI. Let's see what happens. I have not tried this. Let's see if it'll do it. Based on there you go. Ha! I love it. Wow. And notice, I mean, Claude really, I think in many ways is better than OpenAI. It gave me the correct links. I didn't even have to ask for the links. Look at that. Fantastic. Now the next thing, will it work? So I don't know if it's going to work. Let's grab this and let's paste it into Copilot. So let me bring that up. And I'll go ahead and just replace the one I have. I actually, let me see. I think I'm actually on the wrong one. Yeah, no, I'm on the right one. Let's go here, replace this and save it. Wow. Wow. No errors. Fantastic. Claude AI wins the day. Isn't that fantastic? Oh, wow. So I am just so impressed. Okay. So if you haven't used Claude AI, it's in many ways it's better. It's now a little bit ahead of ChatGPT, and a lot of that has to do with it has a static window now, and basically that static window will basically show you HTML and JavaScript. I'll give you an example, and then we'll pretty much wrap up today. But show a HTML JavaScript a login page. Okay, let's see if it will show that for us. And see, it's going to render, hopefully it will render it for us. And there it is, it renders the page for us. And so if you're building, like I'm going to be building a framework, right? And if you're building a framework, you can just test it interactively as you build it, if you're building an HTML and JavaScript. Now this has to expand to other languages, right? And so I think that's what everyone is working on. But to be able to do it here, to build interactively with prompt engineering is just an incredible tool.
Mike,
yeah,
could you try that put in with section 508 and see what happens, just for laughs?
Oh no, it's going to do that. And the reason it's going to do that, it is because they are really working on inclusivity. And so it's going to be able to do that. There you go.
Interesting.
Mhm.
You know what? The one thing I noticed is that the size of the dialog box is different.
Right. And so it's talking about what it did and the various pieces about that. But yeah, I mean,
Cool.
this is I've never seen this is incredible. I mean, we're living in an incredible time. And if you're a programmer, like I've been for like over 30 years, you're just blown away. It just blows you out of the water. So yeah, so that's pretty much the presentation for today, guys. I think we had a lot of good stuff here, and you can see how incredibly powerful this is. And and whatever you're working with any of this, just start thinking, how can I prompt this, right? And you have a powerful tools now, like custom GPTs and actually Claude AI, very powerful tools to be able to do this. And in the next 6 months, there's going to be this transition from what I call high school to PhD level. And they're actually doing it now, and you're actually able to do frameworks. And so just to let you guys know what's coming up here in the queue for me to do for you guys is there's going to be, I'll be scheduling these sessions, but we're going to be doing a LangChain through prompt engineering. We're going to be doing a building your own LangGraph framework. So we're going to start showing you guys how to build your own frameworks, building your own crew AI agent driven framework. And we'll go back to NVIDIA, of course. I'll I'm starting UK in the fall, and I'm in the process of becoming an NVIDIA representative. I'm so excited about that. So that is the end of today's presentation. Are there any questions?